Ladies and gentlemen, JamesLane here, and in this segment, we're going to talk all about what the left thinks of us. Now, I get it. We all know what the left thinks of us, but this is some hot diggity dog big proof, ladies and gentlemen, right in your face proof. The left likes to say we have no proof. Well, folks, we have the head honcho lawyer of PBS caught on camera. Project Veritas released it. He tells you exactly what he is going to do. And in fact, he'd like to put your kids in re-education camps. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. Not only are we going to read about this, not only am I going to let you know what I think about this, but we're also going to show you the recording. You're not going to want to miss this. Next. Ladies and gentlemen, JamesLane here, and thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for joining us here on the American Reveille, and I appreciate you sticking with us. I know it's chaotic right now. I know a lot of people are panicking. A lot of people are freaking out, wondering what they're going to do, where they're going to go. Well, at least on our end, we've got your back. We're working around the clock, upgrading our website, planning different things, what we can do behind the scenes, different type of forum situations, possibly old school style, 90s style, the way we used to do it. Just like the Project Underground Railroad that we started. And first of all, for anybody that's about to freak out that I called something that, all right, I want to let you know they shut down speech for 75 million people that are now oppressed. All right. You've got groups out there that take the names of things. You've got groups like BLM that say they're for one thing, yet are completely for other things. On the exterior, they are, but their motives are far off what they preach. Folks, we are honoring the Underground Railroad by putting out an underground mailing list. And this mailing list is going to evolve, but I'm going to daily put out a lot of my thoughts, just like I would on social media. Put out pertinent articles, put out different things of interest. We're going to look into building as well a weekly newsletter that should be coming out within the next week or so. That'll be more of a recap and also different things that we're planning for the future, message about the business, different stuff like that. But for the Underground Railroad, Project Underground Railroad, you're going to have to go to www.americanreveille.com and sign up on that big green button there that says newsletter. It says newsletter, submit, something like that. It says for patriots only, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it says. It says join. You have to click that, put in the CAPTCHA, and get in. Folks, now, if you have an issue with that, some people did have a problem having the button work there. If you do, email me directly, JamesLane at AmericanReveille.com, JamesLane at AmericanReveille.com, REVEILLE.com. I'll gladly manually add you to the list. I did that for over 700 people the other day. So yeah, that was a good chunk of hours, but we got you guys in there. If you're a little worried right now because the infrequency of the videos that I'm posting or the infrequency of the emails, just bear with me give me like another 24 hours. We'll get things on track. I had to pull a lot of people together with a very short amount of time. We're all working around the clock to make things right and to give you guys a platform and a voice as best we can for the small grassroots operation that we are. So please, I thank you, but please, bear with us. Very, very quickly, we will be even beyond the capacity that we were before. And everybody that's stuck with us so far, thank you guys so much. It's you guys that give us a voice. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The American Reveille movement is spreading across the land, and it is all because of you guys. And I wanted to put that out there. I wanted to let you guys know what we've been doing and why it's been a little bit quiet, just so you don't worry about anything. They're not going after us yet. They're going after the big fish. Then they'll come after the little guys. But don't worry. It's just because we've been bogged down, and I've been trying to help with everybody and getting everything right with this organization, getting the infrastructure together, putting pertinent things together, planning things with the website, planning stuff. Look, it's a lot of work, guys. Trust me. And I do school besides that. So imagine with all this going on, imagine being me, right? And social media's down, and there's 100 videos that I could be making. I could be putting 5 videos out a day, but I also have to go to work, or I'll lose, I can't pay the rent. You know how that goes. I'm not a celebrity. I pay the bills just like you. Just like you, I pay the bills. So if I don't go to work, I can't pay the rent. If I don't go to work, I can't fund the American Reveille. You see where I'm coming from? So I got to do that. I got to work 40, 50 hours a week. Then I got the wife, the kids, all that. That's important, right? And I try to spend as much time as I can. But, you take a lot of time away from sleep, and unfortunately a lot of time away from the family. And you regret that. I won't ever get that time back. But this calling is very important, and they understand. They understand. And even besides that, I am putting in as much time as I can. So, we also have school. So I'm doing the PhD as well. I've got lectures, right? I've got lectures that are happening every Tuesday. I have homework, 10, 15 hours a week of homework sometimes. It's a PhD program. So we have that. And then sleep is somewhere in there. I usually get 5 minutes to eat here and there if I eat. So trust me, it's been busy. I appreciate you bearing with me. I know I probably told you a lot more than you need to know, but this is a little different. And if you're new here, please, before you go, oh, he didn't get right to the point, understand that the American Reveille is something different. I'm not the news, all right? If anything, I'd like to say I'm starting the Barstool Sports of politics, all right, folks? And if you don't know what that is, go look up Dave Portnoy, stand-up guy, awesome dude, one bite, everybody knows the rules. Love to do a pizza review with him one day when we're a little bigger than we are right now, folks. And obviously, that's all on you. So, if you're coming here for cut and dry, you're coming to the wrong place. Here, you're going to get to know me. We're going to build a relationship. We're going to build a friendship together. We're going to build a community. The American Reveille is a company. All right. Make no mistake about it. We are a company. We will have to come up with some ways to make some money, do some different things like that. And we're going to need that money anyway to fight this leftist ideology. All right. Nobody's taking any money at this point, by the way. Trust me, nobody is taking any money. Any money we get is going back into this company. So trust me, we're putting our blood, sweat, and tears into it. And we're doing it for you. And we're doing it for us. We're doing it for Americans who still care about the essence of this country. All right. And this is a perfect segue because we want the American dream. We want freedom. We want individuality. We want the nuclear family that they say is so bad. We don't want abortion clinics as birth control. We don't want big tech oligarchs. We don't want Google running our lives, and we don't want the government with their hands in our pockets. Is that too much to ask? It obviously is, because PBS lawyer, see that right there, Ben Shapiro style segue. He goes right into like ExpressVPN. No, PBS lawyer caught in Project Veritas undercover video sting inciting political violence against Trump supporters resigns, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The story earlier was that he said all this crazy stuff. And don't worry, I'm going to show you the video. We're going to both be shocked together. I promise you that. But before that point, right now, at this point, we can all go, F you. Good. I'm glad somebody on the freaking left gets canceled. It doesn't happen very often, does it? But when it does, oh, it feels good, doesn't it? Now, look, I know there's a lot of good Christians out there. And I know there's a lot of good people in general out there. I was born Jewish, all right? I believe in God. I wouldn't consider myself a Jew, but I wouldn't consider myself nothing. I believe in God. I believe in the higher power. Trust me. I'm there with you all day. Boom. I'm an antenna, folks. Trust me. I'm with you. But at the end of the day, the people on the left, they don't want that. They don't like that. All right? They don't want good people. They want bad people. They are bad people. Not all Democrats, not all lefties. You have to understand that a gigantic chunk of people in this country, are low information people. They don't concern themselves with what the leaders do. They don't concern. Listen, my grandma thinks I'm a communist. I hate communists. And I hate fascists. And I hate violence. And I don't condone and I condemn all forms of everything I just mentioned. Can I throw Marxists there too? I don't like them either. In fact, I hate Marxists because all of their ideas suck. Plain and simple. And violence sucks. There, look, I said it in plain English, right? Violence sucks. Fascists suck. You all suck. Everybody at some point sucks, right? Anyway, that wink didn't even come out right. That was like both eyes. Look, folks, the left really sucks. The left really sucks because they're not paying attention to what the big bosses on top of the left say. And those big bosses want to put your kids in cages. They want to take everything from you. You've seen Joe Biden. You've seen what the left says. You've seen what he said about businesses. If you're a white person, you get nothing. And you see, they've created a trap there because they want a white person like me to say, if you're a white person, you get nothing. You get shafted. You get this so that they can go, aha, you're about white people, racist. But you know, folks, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying at all is that there are two different definitions of equality in this country. All right. Let's talk about that for a second before we go into this article. The left believes in equality. All right. They believe in equality with only the people that will vote for them. All right. And in their minds, the best chance they have of people to vote for them are women. All right. And I'm not talking all women. I'm just talking their demographic, their older, Northeastern type of woman. No offense to any Northeastern women. I know I'm going to piss so many people off when I say this. Women, certain minority groups, illegal immigrant, things like that. What can people that they believe they can give something to in a larger statistical sense? Now, everything you say when you try to talk about this comes out sounding bad. You're all probably cringing inside while I'm talking about this. But since I am a broadcasting personality at this point, I'm going to just deem myself that at this point. Well, I think I've received enough mail from you guys, and I appreciate every piece, by the way, that I at least say I'm a mini broadcasting personality to a mini demographic, and I appreciate you guys so much. It's so awesome. But listen, check this out. They don't understand how this works. So every way you say this is going to sound bad. So you're going to have to deal with it. But know that it's coming from like literally a purely observational and scientific basis. Look, the left, no matter what I say, is going to say racist, right? But trust me, we just don't pay them any mind. If you don't acknowledge them, they're like children, like you don't acknowledge them, they kind of go away, like something, like not children, like little tiny, you don't want to leave tiny children unattended. All right. Nobody do that. Nobody leave tiny children unattended. I mean, like a nagging 7-year-old, 8-year-old, you kind of ignore them for a couple minutes and then they get sidetracked by something else, like, oh, the TV's flashing a lot. No, it's more like this. They get distracted. Every kid is distracted by cell phones now. Anyway, that's the left. All right. If they attack you and you start apologizing for things and giving in and you start begging for forgiveness, you basically acknowledge at that point that they're correct. And then they get to bury you. They get to cancel you. That's the big mistake that everybody on the right's making. They acknowledge these people and then virtue say, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm a good person. Look at all the things I do. My wife is, my family's, I donate to black church. Shut the hell up with your virtue. So I grew up with crap money. I grew up with a crap family at a lot of points, just like many of you. All right. For those of you that don't have that background, I'm not excluding you, but I'm talking to a certain portion of this population that's listening to what we do. But I probably get how it is to grow up more. I don't even have to say probably. We get it so much more than anybody in positions of power on the left. They're all disconnected. All of us blue-collar people out there have more of a connection with all of the minority communities out there than anybody in those positions of power, in both the right and the left. Both the right and the left. In politics. So what are they dividing us for? You know, they're dividing us. All right. They're dividing us because the people that run their companies, run their businesses, run their ideologies, they send down this sick, disgusting hate towards the right. They hate us, folks. Plain and simple. If you think I'm lying, go listen to or watch anybody on the left that's in a position of power. That isn't like Tulsi Gabbard, maybe. There's like 2 of them. The rest of them hate us. They don't even consider us humans. 75 million people were silenced. They shut Parler down. A coordinated attack by multiple big tech companies run by leftists. You can't fight them. Violence isn't the answer. Using their own tactics against us, their own strategies, their own mental strategies against us or against them. That's how you do it. You redefine things, folks. All right? Plain and simple. Define it back to the way it needs to be. Get it popular. Do you know how organized they are? They have like foot crews that go to cities and hand out pamphlets, hang out with young people, talk to them, make them the Democratic Party hip and cool, teach them about social. They've got so many vines and tree roots entangled into the system. But stop letting it overwhelm you. It doesn't have to be that way. We can work together. We can organize in local communities, and we can fight their ideology with our ideology. We can do it the right way. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now, they might say that that's evil because their ideology in their mind is the best ideology. But their ideology is full-term abortions. Their ideology is killing God. Their ideology is burning the flag and the Constitution. Their ideology is big tech, big business, big money. Shut up, take this free stuff, and close your mouth or you'll disappear, folks. This is what socialist America will look like, and it is only the beginning if we allow this to continue. So good. I'm glad this guy resigned. Good. I'm glad we caught them, and good. I'm glad somebody got canceled. And again, email me, JamesLane@AmericanReveille.com, JamesLane@AmericanReveille.com. Project Underground Railroad. Project Underground Railroad. So look, I went off in an epic rant there. I hope I made my point, okay? Epic rants happen. I lose my train of thought all the time. Is what it is, all right? I do a lot of stuff. I'd like to think I'm a smart cookie, all right? But even the cookie loses some crumbs once in a while. We're going to get back to this. Come on, you got to admit that was pretty good. Christina Layla, all right? PBS lawyer caught in Project Veritas and yes, really quick. Yes, I know what's going on. All right. I know that Mitch McConnell now wants to impeach Trump. I know about some of the other news. I'm going to try to get you multiple things out tonight. I'll do the best that I can. I have to work tomorrow in the morning, but I'll try to be as quick yet give you quality as best I can. All right. So let's get back to this. PBS lawyer caught in Project Veritas undercover video sting inciting political violence against Trump supporters resigns. And like we said, good for him. I'm glad, but you need to hear about this and then you need to see this. Project Veritas, look at this slimy looking guy. You notice that all of these leftists, they all look like that Adam ruins everything guy. They all look like that, or like a Drew Carey. They all just look like an effeminate guy. You know, this is going to get out one day, and then both of those people are going to sue the hell out of me one day when I'm successful. But whatever, I'm actually already successful, but with family, with love. Successful with love. Look, Michael Beller, he's the principal counsel, the main lawyer for PBS, you know, Sesame Street, PBS, family programming. The government funds this stuff. He wants to put your children in re-education camps. You know, I have children too. That's my children too. He wants to put our children in. Why in the Woosah? Good things. All right, look, I'm not going to flip out. He wants to put our kids in re-education camps. This is how it starts. You should not be silent right now. Project Veritas recorded PBS principal counsel Michael Beller inciting violence against Trump supporters in a radical left-wing rant. By the way, they kick people off of Twitter, right? But you have the Ayatollah of Iran, all these people around the world that threaten violence. You know, they planned. I want you to remember this. They planned. Most of the riots during the summer, the Antifa, Black Lives Matter terrorism that killed people, that got people raped, that seized U.S. property, that burned down homes and buildings. All of it, most of it, no, probably all of it. It was planned. On Twitter and Facebook. You can't sneeze on there as a conservative without getting banned, though. Folks, the hypocrisy is stifling, isn't it? It's thick. I can feel it on my skin. I can smell it in my shirt. I can taste it on my fingertip. Barbecue sauce. Listen. The hypocrisy is huge and disgusting and evident. It is all over the place, all right? Listen to this. He incited violence against all of us in this rant. Beller told the Veritas reporter that if Biden doesn't win the 2020 election, he would go to the White House and throw Molotov cocktails. Don't you remember a couple months ago when Antifa was attacking the White House? Trump had to get evacuated into a bunker. Nothing happened there, did it? Beller vowed revenge on conservatives and their family, their children, everybody. If Biden wins, even if Biden wins, he said, we'll go for all the Republican voters. Homeland Security will take their children away. Americans are effing dumb. How do you feel right now? Do you feel dumb? I don't feel dumb. I feel pretty pissed off. That's how I feel about that. Really, guys, you need to be active. You need to be not active in doing like violence. You need to be active in doing the right thing. You need to be active in talking to businesses, talking to trusted friends and family members, organizing in your communities, making sure that when they attack us, when they take our infrastructure, they take our food, when they take our water, our electricity, when they do these things, if they do these things, I'm not saying it's coming. I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist and say that they're going to come to, listen, they could just put all this in place, give you $2,000, be like, here's your ransom, you know, your hush money. All right. We're going to go back to going to war and freaking doing all of our bad crap. They could just do that. That might happen. It just looks more and more like socialist evildoers are going to take over. That's just what it feels like. Now, are they? I wouldn't say so bluntly. I would say infiltrated into the government, and they're going to try to slow creep it. Now, usually that would be the normal thing to say, but then again, I don't know. Look how quick the veil of silence and the jackboot across our throat game. Look how quick. One day, it took 24 hours to shut 75 million people down. And look, this is on YouTube. It's on a lot of other places. We're on Rumble as well. All right. We're on a couple other ones. I'm going to put out a video, by the way, that just shows, I'm going to probably chop it out of the last video I did and just put it out so people can reference it and share it around. That kind of shows the alternate technology options we have at the moment. Just a little tiny 2-minute thing. But we have other options for videos, but YouTube will probably take this down. They'll probably shut my whole channel down if anybody actually gives a crap to watch it. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about at YouTube. They don't care about me. We have 2,000 people here. I've watched it go viral multiple times. They just take the views away and they stop distributing once people see it. So there are other places to watch this if you're not watching on YouTube. But remember, we fight them by convincing others that are using their technology. That's one way. So remember, all right, to spread our beliefs, the right beliefs for the Constitution. All right, because that's what this is. This is our ideology versus theirs and vice versa. They don't want to coexist. They want to stamp us out. So we have to join this. We have to do what they do, what the left does with our ideology, and create our own, plain and simple, our own economy with this. Plain and simple. Our own production studios, our own tech companies. Look, it's a good thing that Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, it's a good thing that he's on our side, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't believe so, go look it up. Go look it up. So look, Mr. Beller, all right, and I know I'm going on a bunch of epic rants, and it's probably going to happen in a few of my videos, all right, guys? It is what it is. You're just getting to know the real me. I've got so much stuff going on. It's a very stressful time for all of us, so I'm being real with you. I think most of you probably feel inside the same way. I know I'm being a little scatterbrained, but I'm on very low sleep, a ton of caffeine, and, it just is what it is. So they compared Trump to Hitler, all right? He said they're going to put our kids in re-education camps. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. It's unwarranted. The left is dumb in a way. Think about this. They could have just stopped what they were doing, right? Let's put all the stuff aside for a second. Let me put it like this. I know a lot of us out there have our fingers crossed. All right. I know people are seeing a lot of the information from Sydney, from Lynn, from Telegram, from 4chan, from all these different places. And there's all kinds of different stories going on out there. I'm not saying that I don't believe that the Insurrection Act happened. I don't believe this. I don't believe. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for my ethics, for my personal ethical standards, especially as somebody who now has a responsibility to put out good information, right? I can talk about things and do some stuff for fun. Just like, look, the last video we did with the Insurrection Act, we talked about its history. We talked about what might be happening, but I didn't give you a definitive. I didn't tell you that is happening. I just told you there's a lot of talk about it. I might do that with some of this stuff for you, but just remember, we have to keep it with the information that we have legitimately. So what information do I have? I'm listening directly to the President of the United States and what he says about where we're going. Okay. So as much as I want to indulge, I have to be picky and choosy about what I put out there. So I appreciate you guys for understanding. So before I say this, all right, I want to let you know that I'm not discounting, all right? I'm not discounting you and your beliefs. And I'm not discounting what anybody else believes. What I'm telling you is that if I'm going to report it out, and I don't tell you that, it's just, it's a speculation thing, then it's going to be from the horse's mouth. And that's just how I have to keep it. All right. But I got my fingers crossed, guys. If these things happened, I'm going to be right there with you with my hand in the air going, yes, yes. Because, we talked about it right in the Insurrection Act, right? All you have to do is oppress people. It's in there. You got to oppress people. And there's 75 million oppressed individuals right now. And that's what we are. That's where we are. That's what's happening. Oppression. I don't care how the left wants to brand it. Oppression is happening. It's not happening to white people. It's happening to 75 million people on the right. Black, white, Latino, Mexican, American, Indian, American, Native American, Asian American, however you want to put all of these different things. It's a melting pot of different races, cultures, ideas, beliefs, families on the right, and they are oppressed. So I got my fingers crossed. If that happened, it happened. All right. But we have to fight their ideology, plain and simple. All right. We have to fight their ideology. Look, wherever this is going. All right. Because obviously this isn't reporting, right? This is kind of more like a vlog, more like some entertainment, more like the news. There's reality to this. I'm giving you the real facts, right? But this episode's kind of more just between you and me. This episode is JamesLane and everybody out there who is following the American Reveille, who's part of the American Reveille movement and loves what we're doing, right? This is from me to you. This is my real feelings on stuff. This is how I believe things are going to turn out. This is where I believe we are. This is what we're talking about. And we're talking about the truth. That's what we're looking at. And for those who are watching this so far saying, man, this guy's talking about this, talking about that. I just want him to get to the facts. Blah, blah, blah. The right is gone. Blah, 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 blah. The left is magical. We're unicorns that fart sparkly pixie dust. Meh. No, you're not unicorns that fart sparkly pixie dust. In fact, you're the opposite of unicorns that fart sparkly pixie dust. You're more like unicorns made of poop that fart real poop. And then it covers all of us. Folks, let's just watch the video. Shouldn't we just do that? Right? Then you'll get it straight, like I said, from the horse's mouth. All right, let's check this out.
And when Biden wins, we'll go through all the Republican voters and Homeland Security will take their children away.
So remember, this is somebody working undercover for Project Veritas taking this hidden video.
Okay.
And this is the lawyer, all right, the chief counselor, the principal counsel, all right, for PBS, the same thing that people show Sesame Street to their children on, all right? This is what they're teaching your kids through all their programming. This is what they're brainwashing people with subliminally, inside of what they show.
And we'll put them into re-education camps.
Amen.
And these which are unique. I mean, some is close to Hitler.
What are we going to do if we don't like it? It doesn't
Go to the White House and throw Molotov cocktails.
Why don't they show that on the real, quote, news? You know I'm not being serious, right? I'm talking about the mainstream media, all right? The lamestream media, the fake stream media, the fake news would never show any of this. Isn't it amazing how they can just blatantly lie to our faces? God, they're so good at it too. Isn't it sickening? It's just so disgusting that Biden and Pelosi, all these people, they could just go up there and be like, no, this isn't real, but we have it on video. No, that didn't happen. But this is what we have. Nah, they just BS the American people, and people eat it like ice cream.
These kids who are growing up knowing nothing but Trump, for 4 years, you gotta wonder what they're going to be like. Are we raising a generation of intolerant, horrible people?
These people believe their own Kool-Aid, right? They live in a bubble. You have to understand that the principal counsel for PBS, he's probably a millionaire. And millionaires, at least the ones that don't give a crap about, people, because there are good millionaires, of course. There's good and bad and all. There's good people everywhere, and there's bad people everywhere. But this guy, people like this guy who live in the hills and don't ever leave their communities, they just believe that there's a whole bunch of kids running around out there being intolerant and horrible. Don't you realize that that's what they think of us? One thing I noticed about the right, we're made up of all different people. We've got libertarians, we've got conservatives, staunch conservatives, kind of loose conservatives, moderate Republicans, kind of centrist. We have all these different mixes and matches, and the left does too. But when it's time for them to come together, man, they come together. But we're still bickering about the guy smoking a joint down the street. You know, and I'm going to say this to the libertarians out there, and I'm going to say this to the staunch old school Republicans out there. To the libertarians, yeah, you know what? Sure, right? People can do what they want in their own place. I get that. And at the same time, to the conservatives, I get some of those things are horrible. Some could be ungodly to you. Some could hurt other people. So there should be somewhere to meet in the middle, right? Some little, but you know, don't you guys think in 2021 that what you give a crap, like what you personally care about, like a joint, something like that, right? Think about this. While you're bickering, while you're pissed off about some little thing like that, both of you pissed off that they want to put a little more regulation, somebody pissed off that they don't want to have regulation, somebody a little pissed off about what somebody's religious denomination, all these little tiny things. While we're bickering about that, the left is planning and organizing to overthrow our country. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. It's time to put our differences aside. It's time to find common ground in the things that we do agree with. It's time to remember that even though we're different, we bring so much strength to the table because we're different and we're working together. See, the left wants to make people believe that nobody's different. So if you believe, and I mean that in a different way, because nobody is different, but at the same time, everybody's different, right? They want people to have equality of equity. Remember what Kamala Harris said. She said that there's a problem in this country, and the problem is that people don't start off at the same place and don't end up in the same place. So people should. They want to take away all avenues of motivation, inspiration, all avenues of production for anybody so that we can become good little Soviet-style pawns in their chessboard. Folks, we can't do that. We can't allow that to happen. They don't care about you. And even if they're trying to work with you, they're not. So instead of crossing your fingers and hoping that good things will happen, and we can, and we should also do something. You don't sit on your butt, close your eyes real tight, squeeze, and hope the bomb doesn't explode while you're sitting on one. All right? You get the hell out of there. Look, it's a weird analogy. It's probably not the best analogy to use. And trust me, look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to put a disclaimer out. In no way am I making any references to violence or anything like that. It was just a bad analogy. It's ridiculous, the things you have to say these days, isn't it? We thought we had free speech in this country. Look, all I'm getting at is that if you do nothing and you're expecting something to happen, then that's really silly, right? Really silly. It's really stupid, right? I was thinking stupid and silly at the same time, and I said city. You have to understand that you can peacefully do things. You can justly do things. You can righteously do things. Communicate. Talk to people. Talk to your neighbors, friends, family, right? Get people together. Get people working together. Get people used to being a unit, right? Get people used to doing things together. Get your families on the same belief system and believe in a certain direction. You can't let them divide us. And they're going to try to do it. And they're already doing it through your phone, through social media, through culture. So you have to fight the good fight, folks. You have to fight the good fight so that they, on the left, can stop raising a generation of intolerant, horrible people. Let's keep hearing what these intolerable, horrible people have to say.
Kids.
As a senior at the organization, his extreme radicalization is troubling. Look at this.
Right.
They're nice. They have Sesame Street characters in the classroom, and they watch PBS all day.
I'm gonna go home and watch it.
Dumb. You know, most people are dumb.
Americans are so effing dumb. Do you understand the route that we got to here? They don't consider themselves Americans. You realize this, right? These leftists that are in control, they don't consider themselves Americans. They consider themselves citizens of the globe. Globalists. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. They all talk crap about America, and you think to yourself, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you talk crap about the place you live? But to them, they don't live here, not in their minds, not in their culture, not in their ideology. To them, America is evil. Why do you think they're trying to push critical race theory? Why do you think it feels so weird that they're looking at you and calling you a racist? Why, if you're a black man on the right, are you feeling weird that they're calling you a racist? Why, if you're Latino, Latina on the right, and they're looking at you and they're calling you a racist, why is that weird? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because their definitions are different. You have to get to the core of the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Their definitions are different. Their lives, their belief system is different. The reason why the communication isn't working is because the left and the right are speaking two different languages. Go read the 5 love languages, folks. It helps some marriages. I don't know. We read like a page of it. It didn't really do anything. My wife and I figured out how to make this work on our own. Not saying we didn't have any issues ever, by the way, to anybody who's had issues. But what I'm saying is after the issues, we constructively figured out to make it work. And now we have an awesome time. And you can too. Maybe one day I'll write a book on that. How to Fix Your Marriage by Dr. JamesLane. No, I'm just messing with you. Look, they think that you are waste. You work until you die and you're waste. You pour your blood, your sweat, your tears, all of your being. You pour it into a company. You pour it into the economy. You turn the wheels. And people like Michael Beller sit on top of the machine and take your money. That's PBS, folks. That's your money. Your blood, your sweat, your tears. That's the man looking you right in the face, representing the left, and saying, you're an idiot. I'm going to take your money. I'm going to laugh at you while I'm doing it. So what are you going to do, folks? You're going to sit there and do nothing? You're going to just take it? You're going to just let them bully us? Or are you going to do the right thing, which is to stand up and start vocally speaking out against this and start writing letters, start contributing and doing the right thing peacefully? Peacefully. All right, I got to say it for the 1,000th time. All right? There's no way to solve this with force. We have to use our heads. If it seems insurmountable, I promise you it isn't. If we pull our thoughts together, if we start organizing our communities, if you start working locally to affect change, building organizations to affect change. What do you think the Democrats do? What do you think all of their organizations are? All of their nonprofits, all of their things. What do you think they are? They're all organizations to affect change. Do you want this country to be a more traditional country? A country that is tolerant? It's amazing, by the way, when you say traditional now, you have to lump that in with tolerant because it's the truth. Traditional, now being traditional means a tolerant country, a loving country where we all take care of our brothers and sisters, where everybody has a fighting chance. Everybody can fight for the American dream. Or are we going to turn into this socialist crap? If you want this country to stay the same, ladies and gentlemen, the fight isn't physical. The fight is here. For those listening, I'm pointing to my head. I'm pointing to my chest. Hearts and minds, ladies and gentlemen. This is a campaign of hearts and minds. Get your head out of the physical part of this. There's no violence, all right? We're not going to do that. We are going to win hearts and minds. We are going to show them the truth. And do you know how they did it? Do you know how they convinced our kids? Do you know how they convinced everybody you know? They put it in the media. They put it in the movies. They put it on the Coca-Cola can. They put it in your drink. They put it on your toilet paper. It was the companies. So now we're at a time where people are picking sides, where companies are picking sides. Hearts and minds, ladies and gentlemen. You have a dream? You want to make a company? If you're sitting here right now, scared, just jump. Just do it. A lot of people will fail, but a lot of you will succeed. Earn it, ladies and gentlemen. Earn it. Become a part of it. Let's do it together. All right, folks? I want you to be the best human you can be during this time. During this hardship, all right? And like I said, if Trump pulls something amazing off, I'm right there with you. Hell yeah. But just in case, let's do the right thing, and let's make sure we're all headed in the same direction. Let's finish this video off. I think I've talked your ear off a ton.
It's good to live in a place where people are, educated and know stuff. And can you imagine if you lived in one of these other towns or states where everybody's just stupid?
Hey, flyover states. Michael Beller thinks you're stupid. He thinks your state's stupid.
What's great is like COVID is spiking in all the red states right now. So that's great.
Why do you think so?
Because either those people will come out to vote for Trump, because the red states, or a lot of them are sick and dying. PBS has like real news.
They hate you, folks. They hate you.
But CNN doesn't have real news anymore. It's just a talking head talking about Trump all day long. I can't stand it. I mean, every once in a while I look at Fox News and it makes me want to throw up after 5 minutes. It's all this Joe Biden shit now. All the Joe Biden scandal, which is all made up. It's all ridiculous. And they are pushing them so hard. It's unbelievable.
So do you guys just ignore it?
Yeah.
Yep. Selecting what you get to hear and see, ladies and gentlemen. Look, you might say that this episode, this segment, whatever you want to call it, this rant, what I've been putting out today, you might say that it goes a little bit, in a weird direction. You might say that it's really negative. You might say that it's all over the place. But you know what you're not going to say? You're not going to say that it was false. You're not going to say that I BS'd you. You're not going to say that I talked down to you. You're not going to say that I talked like I was some celebrity or like some a-hole giving you little pieces, little crumbs, little tidbits of the truth. Folks, you get real with me. All right? Screw those woke leftists. We're the real woke in this country. We're woke, really woke, because we see exactly what the left has been doing. And regardless of how they change the system, regardless of how they play their games, the spotlight is on them forever. They've already spelled their own self-destruction. All we have to do is keep winning hearts and minds, send people to companies, build new companies, send people to the polls, get people voting the right way. Not through violence or these horrible things that leftists like to do and extreme far right and left fringe groups like to do. And by the way, I'm not lumping Proud Boys into that. Proud Boys is not an extremist group. We take a hard stance here at the American Reveille. The Proud Boys, you've had some members here and there do some silly things once in a blue moon. But honestly, most of them were provoked. And they don't go around burning things. They don't go around looting. They don't go around doing everything that Black Lives Matter and Antifa does. Terrorizing people, burning cities, raping people. People were raped. People were murdered because of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. All right? It happened. Don't get me started on the hypocrisy. Don't get me started. Look, we've talked a lot. We've gone through a lot. You needed to see this. You have to see what the left feels about you, because you need to feel something about the left. All right. I don't want you to hate them. I don't want you to hate them. but also understand sometimes, and some people might understand this, some people might not, but if you've ever had a drug addict in your family, or you've known a drug addict and you've really wanted to help them, have you ever successfully done it without them changing how they feel for themselves? Have you ever? You can push all day, but they'll just go right back to the needle, to the blow, to whatever they're doing, right? And whether it's self-destructive or not, it happens like clockwork until something happens, some ideological shift, some epiphany moment in their life where they feel the change from within themselves. Either that happens, either they go the rest of their lives doing drugs, or either they, overdose and die. That's life. The left is kind of the same way. I don't want you to hate them, but I don't want you to feel like you can help all of them. They won't see it until they're ready to see the truth. That's just, they live the life. Joe Biden wants to talk about globals and the big lie. That's exactly what they're doing. That's what the left is doing right now. They're gaslighting the entire country, and then they're going to try to pay you all off with $2,000 checks for everybody else that doesn't notice. They do the dirty deeds that they say we do. We're not racists. We're not Nazis. None of us are bigots. There's probably some floating around on both sides, and they shouldn't be tolerated. We don't agree with any of that. But we've been painted this all because we believe in traditional family values. We believe in God. We believe in a cause for traditional values, constitutionality, individual freedom and liberty, respect to one's own pursuit of happiness, the American dream. We believe in all that. And now we are persona non grata. We are labeled evil. We are bad because we believe in love and unity. Make no mistake. The left is gaslighting the country. The left is convincing people that they're calling for unity while they're only talking to their side. When he says unity, he's talking to all the different factions of the Democrats. He's not talking to us. He never was. So when you look at a guy like Joe Biden, who is calling us Nazis, right? All they're doing is covering up and trying to shut us up. But like I said, hearts and minds, folks. Hearts and minds. It's not insurmountable. It may feel overwhelming, but we have years of work ahead of us, folks. Plain and simple. But no longer, folks, no longer will we ever be blind again. And you can thank Donald J. Trump for that. And I thank every single one of you for allowing me to tell you that. Folks, thank you so much for watching. All right? Do me a favor. With everything that's down right now, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment. Do it if you're on YouTube. Do it till they kick me off YouTube. In the meantime, you can find me on Rumble, other places as well. I'm still getting around, trying to figure out Gab and Clout Hub. They're working here and there. I'm American_Reveille on Gab, American_Reveille on Gab, and I am at the JamesLane on Clout Hub as well. Now, remember, I started something that I'm calling Project Underground Railroad. Yes, I know yesterday it was called Operation Underground Railroad, but then we found out that somebody owns Operation Underground Railroad. And if you don't want me to get sued and you guys never want to see me again, then let me change it to Project Underground Railroad. So anyway, take a look at this. All you got to do, sign up for our Patriots Only newsletter. right now, while social media is down, I'm going to be putting out some daily emails to you guys, updating you, letting you guys know what's going on, not just with the American Reveille, but with the basically what's happening in general with the president, with politics. And we're also looking to join up with other news organizations, different groups, different people that are doing the same thing, kind of like a coalition amongst like-minded, reliable sources, and then making listings that could be updated, excuse me, and I can get that out to you as well. Trust me, you want to sign up for this. This is going to be like our emergency Patriot broadcasting system, so that if they take out social media, because look, even if Parler comes up in a day or two, next week, a month, in 23 hours, 26 hours, whenever, even if it comes back, we know now they can attack our infrastructure. They can attack our social media. They'll do it without warning. They'll do it whenever they want. They're a monopoly, and we know it now. They're flexing their muscles. They're giving us the finger, and they're saying that you can't do anything about it. But we can. We're going to go old school. Sign up, all right? And we're going to keep connected via email. We already have over 900 great patriots like you signed up. We had 15,000 people on Parler, folks. 15,000 people. So I'm counting on you to spread the word. Now, if you can help, all right, because we're upgrading everything, upgrading our infrastructure, upgrading our equipment, upgrading our ability to stay online for you, expanding our operation, trying to reach more patriots. Because of that, we need help. All right. So if you can give us a hand, if you can toss us $5, $10, $100, we would greatly and gratefully appreciate it. All right, folks, all you got to do, go up here at www.americanreveille.com, REVEILLE.com, AmericanReveille.com. Hit the donate tab. You can give us Bitcoin, right? And you can hit donate. Don't mind the website. I know there's some stuff like this floating around, but it's getting actually updated, and we're moving to different hosting, all kinds of different stuff, so that we can't be taken off. So you might see some weird stuff on the website, by the way. But I just noticed that had like a off-track moment there. Do me a favor, though, please. If you can, hit the donate tab and give us a little something. Now, if you can't, remember, all I really need from you, this is a grassroots movement. All right. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like I'm begging you for your money. If you can't, it's okay. All I need you to do is share. And at this point, share the video as much as you can, but do me a favor, share this as much as you can right here. I'm pointing at the Patriots only sign up area. All right. Now, if for some reason it's not working, the CAPTCHA doesn't work, email me directly, JamesLane at AmericanReveille.com, JamesLane at AmericanReveille, REVEILLE.com. If you email me directly because that didn't work, just tell me to manually add you and I will put you on the list. All right. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I'm going to try to pump out another video or two tonight. We've just been so busy behind the scenes making sure that the American Reveille sticks around and isn't going anywhere. We had to make sure we started getting plans together, and that takes a lot of time, folks. So you could imagine that with everything else, leaves little time to get certain things done. So I promise I'll make it up to you. I'll get more videos out tonight, and we'll try to pick up the pace as we go. Thank you again so much for watching. I look forward to reading all of your comments and emails, and have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. Bye.